Do you believe in user testing or user research?
No. No. I mean,
That was the shocked look of Dylan, the CEO of Figma, when he was interviewing Jesper, the founder of Teenage Engineering at Figma's conference. Just utter shock, and it was a priceless look. Well, is he right? Is user research relevant? Should we even debate about it? Well, in this video, I'm gonna share 5 truths you need to know about UX research, truths that'll change the way you look at research and help you use it to build better products. So in the interview clip, Jesper continued on to say that the problem with conducting user research is that we don't often know why people say what they say. And so you don't know if it is the truth. And if you don't have the truth, how can you design for what truly matters to people? And so that's why research should ultimately be about one thing: the pursuit of truth. The truth about what's working, what's broken, what actually matters to users. Is dark mode better than light mode? How do we know what's true? Well, to get there, the first thing to know is to identify the problem and the goal of the user. Think about it. Every successful product solves a problem, but you can't solve a problem if you don't know and understand how people relate to that problem. So that's what UX research does. It uncovers the real issues users face, their motivations, their needs, their pain points. And so when we design solutions to the problems, they're actually based on facts and data and not just assumptions. Now, this is a trap that most designers, heck, even early founders fall into. They have an idea, they jump right into solution mode. They have an assumption of what the problem is without validating if this is what the market actually needs solving. So an example, it's like a doctor prescribing you with medication without running a diagnostic to see what symptoms you have. That's called malpractice. You want your doctor to ask you the right questions, run the proper tests to identify and narrow down what your issue is so that you can get the correct treatment. In the same way, you want to uncover the truth of what your users' problems and goals are with data and facts so that you can offer the right solutions to them. The next truth to know is that the market shapes user expectations. Now that you've identified what the user's problems and goals are, you may not know what the expectations are when it comes to features and solutions. So this is where competitive analysis comes in. It's a method in market research that compares all the strengths, the weaknesses, the pricing, the features of all the competitors in the industry. So for example, this is a table of all the competitors in a coffee industry. And by identifying how competitors solve the same problem by offering various solutions and features, you're able to see what users expect in the market. So for example, if every other coffee subscription is offering free shipping, customers will expect it even if they never say it out loud. And so that is how the market shapes user expectations. Okay, so the next truth is that good research doesn't just ask what happened, it asks why did it happen. And so that's why UX research has two sides: qualitative and quantitative research. So qualitative research asks the why. It helps explain the user behaviors through open-ended exploratory methods like domain research, contextual inquiry, and user interviews. Now, the data you're collecting from these methods are typically subjective, and they're summarized in words, opinions, conversations, and the results that come from that, you are discovering user needs, the motivations, and their pain points. So again, what you're capturing are the feels, the why behind the actions. Now, for quantitative research, the what is happening and how often. This is measurable data through surveys, analytics, heat maps, A/B testing. Now, the data is summarized in numbers. It's statistics, percentages, graphs, etc. So if qualitative data it captures the feels, then the quantitative is about the numbers, because at the end of the day, the numbers don't lie. And so by combining both qualitative and quantitative data, you get the bigger picture of understanding the user needs. So for example, if you have quantitative data from heat maps showing that users are ignoring a key button, then you want to run a usability test, which is qualitative, to learn why, the reasonings behind that, right? Or another example, if you have surveys that show low satisfaction with a navigation, then you want to follow up with user interviews, which is qualitative, to identify the pain points. right? So you're combining those to get the fuller picture. Now, when it comes to conducting user interviews, the quality of the data you're collecting is dependent on the quality of your questions. If you ask bad questions, you get bad data. It's that simple. So user interviews are not just about collecting opinions, they're about uncovering insights that actually lead to better design decisions. And the way you ask questions can either help users open up or completely bias their responses. Not all questions are created equal. So a good question encourages honest, thoughtful responses. It doesn't lead the user toward a specific answer, and it helps uncover real user needs, frustrations, and motivations, not just surface level opinions. So here is an example of the anatomy of a question. You want to be asking questions that are non-biased, open-ended, all the lists here on the left, and avoid it being biased, closed-ended, hypothetical, so on and so forth. So a specific example would be a leading versus a non-leading question. So a leading question, it leads the users toward a expected response. It distorts user research findings by making users agree rather than having them share their actual experience. So an example would be, wouldn't you agree that the checkout process is confusing? See, right here, the users might feel pressured to just say yes or agree, even though they may not find it confusing at all. So how to reframe that is to say, can you walk me through your experience with the checkout process? Notice how this allows the users to share their honest, unbiased experience. Now, another example is open-ended versus closed-ended. Now, these questions allow users to provide detailed, descriptive answers in their own words, and they're ideal for uncovering motivations, pain points, and unexpected insights. So an example would be, can you describe a time when you struggled with our product? Or what factors influence your decision when choosing an online store? Or how do you typically complete this task? Notice how it opens for answers that are very open-ended, as opposed to closed-ended questions, which often end with yes and no answers or a number or a singular answer. It doesn't provide a lot of context and information. Too many teams approach research as a way to confirm what they already believe. But real UX research, it's all about testing ideas, not validating assumptions. If you're only looking for data that supports your point of view, hot take guys, you are not doing research. You're just building an echo chamber. The goal of research isn't to justify your design decisions. It's to discover new insights. And if your research never surprises you or changes your perspective, you're probably not asking the right questions. So be ready to be wrong, because the sooner you realize an assumption doesn't hold up, the easier it is to fix before launch. And good research starts with the right mindset. If you go in trying to prove your assumptions right, you'll subconsciously ignore evidence that contradicts you, and that's dangerous. The best researchers embrace uncertainty and approach UX with a learning mindset, not a proving mindset. So an example, let's say a team is designing a new homepage layout and assumes that placing a big hero image at the top will improve engagement. So the proving mindset will say, let's run a test to confirm that our home image improves engagement, where the learning mindset says, let's run a test to see how users interact with this layout and what helps them find what they need faster. One is seeking validation, the other is seeking insight. So here's the big takeaway. UX research is about uncovering the bigger picture. It's not about confirming assumptions, collecting random data, or just asking users what they want. It's about seeking truth so that we can design better solutions. If you want to learn more about UX research, you can check out my UX research course at Design Champs. I'll walk you through the fundamentals and I'll show you the methodologies I use when conducting user research. You can hit the link in the description, and I hope to see you on the other side. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.